Now, life is precious, but then sometimes there's a lot of emotional issues that a lot of us have to deal with. How do people come through it? Or do they succumb to the temptation to take their own lives? We're going to talk about this right here on
the Live TV Show.
My name is Ifi Aronokafo, welcoming you especially to today's edition of the program. And I already let the cat out of the bag in my opening statement. We will be discussing reducing suicide rate in Nigeria. Now, there's been a surge in suicide rate in Nigeria and globally, and it is recorded that lots of millennials are taking the easy way out. There's a lot of suicide among young people who are supposed to be impressionable and full of life. I'll be discussing with someone who has done a lot in terms of restoring relationships and handling the emotional setting of individuals in Anambra State. Precisely, she operates around Navy axis. She'll join me live on stage to discuss how we can stem the tide of suicide and depression among young people. I'm joined by Deaconess Doris Igwedi. She is the lead counselor, Singles and Married Forum. Isiwon Foundation Outreach. It's good to have you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Now, we are talking about suicide. And, a lot has happened. There's this case of a 14-year-old girl in Kenya who committed suicide because she was period shamed. Her teacher had told her that she was dirty just because her menstrual blood stained her uniform and that. So she got home and then the next thing we knew was she committed suicide. Now, what would you say about that happening and being done by a 40-year-old?
Thank you very much. I want to start by saying that from the background of World Health Organizations have been able to deduce something that they ran a data and they were able to discover that from the age of 15 down to 29, there's this offshoot of suicide. That was just about 2008. And they now said, no, looking at it, the problem is there's this role identification problem. There is stress. There is developmental going on in their body, in their faculty. And because of that age, we've got to find out that there is this issue of acting on impulse. They don't have to go through thorough reasoning. And sometimes you see youths committing suicide. Or they just act on impulse. You just tell them you are this, they just go ahead and begin to think about, why will you tell me that? And that, I think that could be the reason why this.
In line with what you said, we know that suicide is the second leading cause of death among the youth. That's those aged between 15 and 29 years. And we know that a lot is being said about that. But then, given our cultural peculiarities, this is not America, this is not the UK. We have cultures that prevent or that makes suicide a taboo. Is it that those things have changed?
Actually, they've not changed. But because of the overloading of social media, which we have bought in, you see somebody watching talking about internet, Facebooking, and the next thing maybe there's a fraudulent gangs, Yahoo dots and all that. Somebody buys into it, and the next thing you have disappointment, or somebody you are dating somebody just like in our old platform, they keep coming. Mommy, somebody has broken my heart. Somebody did this, and the person goes, immediately goes into his cocoon and begin to think about it. Depression sets in. And the next thing is suicide. So we've got a lot of exchange of cultures coming in, intruding into our own culture.
That's called acculturation.
Exactly, and this has led to so many of these things coming up. You see some people, a boy of 13, 14 carrying something, they say what is tramadol or whatever. People, alcoholism going on. I was just coming down from Lagos the other day. They say when you see a boy carrying a small keg of bottle or whatever, they say don't think that is cool. No, He said that and there is some things infused in it.
In fairness to, I'm not justifying the use of codeine and tramadol, but it's supposed to make them high, not to low. Isn't it so?
You know, there will be a time that somebody that is doing this and will want to try to stop, and you cannot stop, and maybe you don't have the fund again to go ahead. The next thing you begin to think of what to do. You know, you set in, you just, maybe the family could not be able to continually, because how can your family encourage you to be doing that? Some things can be, you know,
and it's not possible for one to be high all the time. Yes, no matter what. Okay, now let's also talk about the fact that worldwide suicide accounts for about 1 million deaths, and that's every year.
Yeah, 1.5 from the way the data said, it's 1.5 million by 2020. That's the strategy.
That's horrible.
That's very horrible.
And we also know that the over 79% of global suicide occurred in low and middle income countries. What's pushing this the suicide rate up? What are the factors, apart from the ones you mentioned already? Are there factors around us?
Of course, yes.
Tell us.
Poverty. Poverty is a disease. It's something that nobody dreams to go into. You know, it can crush you, it can make you think, or you begin to behave. You see somebody walking on you at the point he will stop. Move now, I don't want to move. He's thinking about the school fees, he's thinking about how to take care of the family. A man being pushed outside there to be able to, he can't reason because the woman is shouting on him every day. No money. You understand? These are the things that you will see a man, he will go into his career, you begin to think, what is the next thing to do? This woman keeps nagging me every day. We have a lot of them coming to the platform, mommy. What do I do? And what we will do. So that's why even in my platform we have decided to incorporate these jobs, empowerment, skills to make people get a life, get busy. Because when somebody is not thinking of something, you begin to think of something else. You understand me? So there is this need for, they say, every idle mind is a devil's workshop. So what we want you to get your mind engaged, and it will reduce drastically.
Okay. Now, what do you also say about people who are already, their minds are already engaged? I'm sure that people who are in school are perhaps talking about their academics and all that. And how do you then explain when a student commits suicide?
Just like I said, they have relationships. Some of them are keeping good relations, some are keeping odd ones. And then there are peer groups, pressure coming from there. Now you will see somebody say that, and he jilted me. And the next thing is to jump into the river. The next thing is to take his life. Use a gun and shoot himself. Say, why would he jilt me? We have a case of a lady, I think a youth that wants to take a jam or something. Say because the boyfriend left him, she had to go and kill herself. So these are happening. It's happening.
Okay, and then we also have cases of poor academic performance also pushing people over the edge.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to have patience that maybe let me do something. Just like I said, impulsive thinking. It normally pushes them. What I discovered, I say there's a frontal from the medical setup. They say there's this thing in them that it's not matured already. And this role of role identification. Am I here or here? You know, some of them will just say, he jilted me. He didn't fulfill what he said that he would marry me. He's my friend. He's my close intimate friend, and all that. And the next thing you see these people misbehaving. Some of them will just, take a knife or a gun and shoot themselves. We have an example that somebody just felt, why should he leave me? Why would he jilt me? She just killed herself. So it's not called for. You just have to be busy doing what you're supposed to be doing. Thank you.
Okay, you're still watching the Light TV show, and we will be taking questions and comments when we come back from this break. Stay with us.